Chelsea Trader, San Francisco, California. Chelsea stepped off the bus that dropped her off right in front of the Treasure Island Veterans Hospital where she worked. It was raining hard, with a bitter nip in the air, yet she felt hot to the point she was sweating. She figured it had more to do with what she experienced earlier in the day than any sort of bug that she might have picked up. After reporting to the police, she could return to her grandmother's retirement home and get the rest of her things, but not before taking a long, hot shower. Then, with a kiss and a hug goodbye, Chelsea was off, catching the train an hour later and back in San Francisco shortly after. While home for a brief while, she thought about calling in sick. A part of her just wanted to go to sleep and pretend everything that happened today was just some kind of terrible dream. But the second she walked through the front door, her father was already on her case for some nonsense she couldn't remember doing. So, she dressed, slipped into her uniform, and caught the bus, determining it was better to bury her feelings and put all her energy into her patients. At least she could help, unlike that poor man on the beach. "I wonder what's going on," said Patty, one of Chelsea's coworkers. On her break, she was sitting on one of the benches outside the hospital smoking a cigarette. Turning back, Chelsea saw a dozen police cars speeding along the Oakland Bay Bridge. "I don't know. Maybe there's an accident," Chelsea replied. "Hey, I thought you were quitting," she asked, looking back toward Patty. Patty smiled as she rubbed the butt of her cigarette in the ashtray. "That was my last one," Patty said. "I hope so. Those things will kill you," Chelsea said. "A lot of things, dear, can kill me. Might as well enjoy a vice here and there," Patty commented. "I would try chocolate. The only thing it will kill is your waistline," Chelsea joked. "Honey, that isn't a problem for you. Me, on the other hand." Patty paused and looked closely at Chelsea. "Are you okay? You look a little flushed," she asked. "Oh, I'm fine. Just a little too much exertion in the morning," Chelsea replied. "Right. Exertion," Patty smiled. "What's his name?" she asked. "Oh, stop. I'll see you inside," Chelsea said. "Okay, hon. I'll be up shortly." The hospital was a bit busier than usual, which was expected given it was cold and flu season. However, Chelsea felt a bit odd as she walked through the lobby. Her senses seemed heightened as every sound, whisper, and beeping of instruments in the patient's room made her feel jumpy. Chelsea hurried her pace, wanting to get away from the crowd as quickly as possible. She decided to skip the cafeteria, where she would typically grab a cup of coffee before heading upstairs to begin her shift. Once she was alone in the elevator, she began to feel a bit more at ease as her mind cleared and the temperature dropped. Exiting the elevator, she only had to walk a few feet to reach her station. The nursing staff was all looking up at the TV, which was tuned to the local news. "Hey, Chelsea! Have you heard about what's happening in Half Moon Bay?" Steve said as Chelsea put her bag under her desk before signing in. "Your grandmother lives there, right?" he asked. "Yeah, and no, I haven't heard about what is happening there. So why am I lying about this?" she thought to herself. "It's pretty insane. The feds rolled in and closed the whole town down. They're reporting the CERC, or whatever those new guys are called, are afraid there's some sort of environmental hazard. God, I hope this isn't another Liberty Island." "Are they saying anything else?" Chelsea asked, wondering if there had been any mention of the cargo ship. "No, they're being pretty tight-lipped about what's going on. Certainly it isn't helping us, though. We have twice as many patients as usual, thinking every sneeze is another attack or something," Steve said. "I'm sure it is nothing and will blow over by tomorrow," Chelsea said. "I hope so. Well, you have a full house today. Your patient list is called up. As for myself, I have a hot date tonight. I'll catch you tomorrow," Steve said as he grabbed his backpack and coat. "Thanks, Steve. I'll see you tomorrow," Chelsea replied. Chelsea printed out her patient list before starting her rounds. It did not take too long before her typical routine set in, and her mind focused solely on the people she was charged with caring for. Hours later, Chelsea was making her second rounds of the day, going to each of her patients' rooms to take readings, jot down their vitals, and generally have a conversation with them. It always saddened her that many of her patients were alone with no family to speak of. Most were old veterans from previous branches of the military or families of vets. Most were generally forgotten now that their service was over. But many still suffering from ailments from long-forgotten wars relegated to history books. "How's it going, Mr. Marshall? Did you sleep well?" Chelsea said as she walked into her last check-in. "Much better now that you're here, my dear," he replied. "Aren't you the sweetest?" Chelsea said as she wrote down Mr. Marshall's blood pressure and heart rate into her pad. "Not as sweet as you. You know, of all the nurses that take care of this old sailor, you've got to be my favorite." "Oh? That isn't what Nurse Jackie said to me. She thinks she's your favorite, Chelsea said. Mr. Marshall blushed, which brought a smile to Chelsea's face. Well, you can't fault an old scuttlebutt for admiring pretty girls, can you? I bet you had plenty of pretty girls in your day, Mr. Marshall, Chelsea said. Oh, I had eyes for only one girl since I was in high school. One girl? Oh, really? Yes. My blessing. My angel. The love of my life since before I knew the meaning of the word. I do hope the story ends with you marrying her, Chelsea said. Of course, but it did take a long time to get to that point. I must have proposed a dozen times. She wanted to go to college, but of course, a poor boy from the Bay couldn't hope to afford a big state school like her. So, I figured sooner or later, I was likely to be drafted, so I decided to enlist in the Navy instead, and beat the draft board to the punch. This was back in 1968, so Angel went off to college in Berkeley, and I was sent to Vietnam. That must have been hard, Chelsea said as she changed Mr. Marshall's IV. It was. Those were troubled times, at home and overseas. I thought going into the Navy, I would avoid the worst of it, but I was wrong. I spent 2 tours of duty on a riverboat, going up and down the country, seeing far more action than I thought I would. Angel and I wrote to one another every week, and for a little while, it was touch and go. I was unsure if I was coming home. She wasn't sure she wanted to wait around for me, so I let her go and thought that was the last of it. Was it? Chelsea asked. For a little while, yes. I decided to make a career out of the Navy. What else was I going to do when I got back to the States? Certainly not pump gas for the rest of my life. Angel eventually graduated, married, had a child, and worked in some big accounting firm for the next 10 years. Finally, out of the blue, while visiting my mother in the hospital, there she was. She was also visiting her mother in the same hospital. Don't tell me you two started having an affair. That would not make me happy at all, Mr. Marshall. Oh, good Lord, no. Even I was not that ballsy. No, we just caught up and had a good time remembering the old days. She told me stories of her life, I told her stories of mine. And then we went our separate ways, only now exchanging numbers. As Mr. Marshall continued his story, Chelsea suddenly began to feel very sick, to the point that the color in her face seemed to wash away. We frequently spoke over the next couple of years. Her marriage eventually came to an end, and I retired from the Navy. It was around that time that we thought it might be worth giving us another try. He stopped his story as he saw Chelsea's worsening condition. Are you okay, dear? You look horrible. I'm not feeling very well. Would you mind if I pick this story up on my next rounds? Chelsea asked. Of course. Take care of yourself. I'm not going anywhere, Marshall replied. Chelsea left the room, rushing so quickly to the nearest bathroom that she almost crashed into the chief surgeon. Sorry, she called out, darting into the bathroom. The second she reached the toilet, she threw up. She remained sitting on the bathroom floor for a good 5 minutes, trying to catch her breath. Chelsea? The voice of the chief surgeon said as he walked into the unisex bathroom. Yes, doctor, Chelsea said. Chelsea flushed the toilet and exited the stall before walking over to the sink to wash her hands and face. I'm sorry, Dr. Wells. I don't know what's gotten into me, Chelsea said. It's quite all right. How long have you been feeling this way? Wells asked. He began to take a closer look at Chelsea, touching her skin and looking into her eyes to see if anything was wrong with her. Just today, these past couple hours, she replied. Well, you are a little warm. Your color seems to be coming back. You're not pregnant, are you? Oh, Lord, no! At least, I don't think I am, she replied. It could just be a bug you picked up. I did just come from my grandmother's retirement home this morning. I probably got it there, Chelsea theorized. Perhaps. Anyways, I think you should head home and take the rest of the day off, Wells suggested. That isn't necessary. I'm starting to feel better. I think I can finish my shift. No, I want you to go home and rest. We have plenty of staff on hand today. Someone else can tend to your patients. Go home. I'll see you in the morning if you're feeling better. Okay. Thank you, doctor. After collecting her things, Chelsea decided against taking the bus home, and instead wanted to walk. Even though it was still raining and quite cold, it didn't bother her. She hoped the chilled air might cool her down as her temperature continued to fluctuate. Chelsea's home was her parents' place. An opulent mansion located on Yerba Buena Island, across the land bridge connected to Treasure Island. The estate was quite large for such a small area, with several more modest mansions dominating the affluent neighborhood. The Bay Bridge loomed overhead, jetting through the fog towards San Francisco, which she could barely make out between the white haze. She had to climb up several steep hills to reach the borders of her family's home, choosing to use the side entrance over the main gate, which brought her around to the back where an artistically shaped swimming pool, big enough for a high school swim team to use, was. The home was ultra-modern, with squared construction and large windows that looked less like glass than a natural extension of the walls itself, allowing no one to look inside but giving a magnificent view from within. To Chelsea, this was a symbol of her parents' little empire, as both her father and mother ran one of the most dominant and profitable real estate agencies in the city. To both, image and status were everything, and this house was a monument to their success. Opening the side door, Chelsea wanted to be quiet. Her parents typically noticed she was home, but she did not want to see either of them today. No such luck. "Chelsea, I thought you had work," Nancy Trader said. Her mother, slightly startled as she turned the corner from the kitchen area and nearly bumped right into her daughter. "I was sent home," Chelsea replied. "Sent home? Were you fired?" Ted Trader, Chelsea's father, spoke up as he walked into the room following his wife. His head was buried in his cell phone, but the man had proven to be a world-class multitasker. "No, I was not fired, Ted. It is father, dear," Nancy said. Chelsea rolled her eyes. She had taken to calling her dad by his first name over these past 8 months, which irritated her mother to no end. "Don't you have people to take care of? They don't just send a nurse home unless you did something wrong," Ted said. "Oh, dear. You didn't get someone killed, did you, honey?" "Good Lord, Mom. No! I did not get someone killed. If you want to know, I'm a little sick and Dr. Wells sent me home," Chelsea said. "Is what you do so unimportant that you would be sent home with the sniffles?" "Ted," Nancy barked. "I'm only asking," he replied. "You know what?" Chelsea paused, her head now throbbing so bad that she could not bring herself to finish her thought. "Yes, dear?" Nancy asked. "Forget it. I'm going to my room to get some rest." Chelsea surged forward, knocking a stack of papers off the table as she reached the stairs and stomped up to her room. Chelsea reached her room, turning the radio on before collapsing on her bed. She wanted to get out of her uniform. However, she felt as if all her energy had been zapped. All she wanted to do was sleep. While asleep, Chelsea thought she was underwater, swimming in an endless black void. Everywhere, strange sounds, haunted voices of a million souls, all talking at once. She wanted to scream, but not a word left her mouth. Finally, the sounds became more explicit. Right away, she wished she did not understand, as the voice was demonic and terrifying. "They hurt us. They always hurt us. So much pain. They never believe in us. Just give us more pain," it said over and over. Chelsea tried to scream and block the voice, but nothing dimmed the ferocity of its word, no matter what she did. "We should head them back," it shouted. Chelsea woke, rising to her feet in one motion. She was covered in sweat, that she felt as if she'd been pulled from the pool. Running over to the mirror, she stared at her reflection, barely able to recognize the girl that looked back at her. "What is wrong with me?" she asked. She turned her music up louder, hoping that would lessen the sounds that beat inside her skull. "Everyone hurts us," it said again. "Shut up!" Chelsea said, bashing the palms of her hand against her head. "No one deserves us. They hurt and hurt and hurt." "Shut up! We have to hurt them first." "Shut up!" Chelsea went mad, tossing things from her bookshelves, raking the mirror, while clawing at her walls, bashing her fist over and over. "You are a worthless child. I should have had a son. At least he would not have been such a disappointment." The voice of her father sounded in her mind. "Why can't you be an ordinary girl, like the ones at school?" her mother said. "You are worthless and weak. You give up too quickly. Because of that, you'll never accomplish anything of worth." "Honey, you could be so pretty if you allowed yourself." "Look at you. You're wasting your life away helping sick people who couldn't possibly help you in return. How pathetic." A boy will never want to marry you looking like that. What is that crap in your hair? Are you a prostitute now? Why can't you be more like your father? He is driven and ambitious. You've accomplished nothing. You'll be nothing. Chelsea couldn't take it anymore as she collapsed onto her knees, screaming. What the hell is going on in there? Don't you know I'm trying to work? Ted said as he burst through the door. What in Christ's sake is wrong with you? Look at this goddamn mess, little girl! Chelsea said nothing. She remained still. Do you hear me? Look at me when I'm talking to you! Ted grabbed Chelsea by the shoulder and tried to pull her up. He did not have to, as Chelsea rose to her feet and turned to face her father. My lord! What is wrong with you? He said, his voice quivering in terror as Chelsea's eyes glowed, and her skin cracked as if something underneath wanted to burst out. She grabbed her father's hand, which was still on her shoulder, and tugged. The man said nothing at first, as the shock of what happened settled in. He looked down at Chelsea. She held something in her hand once she pulled away from him. It didn't seem to dawn on him at first that what she was holding was a bloody stump that was his arm. Not until he glanced over at his shoulder and saw she'd torn the thing clean off at the joint. What's wrong, Daddy? Chelsea asked, her voice otherworldly. Her father collapsed to his knees as the realization of what just happened to him set in. A terrifying scream filled the house from behind him as Chelsea's mother was standing in the doorway. Grabbing her father by his neck, Chelsea ripped out his throat as her fingers clamped down on the soft flesh. Ted gargled as blood poured from his throat before he fell over, landing on the edge of Chelsea's bed, and bled out, his body twitching violently. Nothing to say to me now, do you? Chelsea said to her father before he died. Nancy continued to scream, turning from her daughter, and ran. Oh, Mother, Chelsea said with a wicked smile as she gave chase. Nancy screamed frantically. She ran downstairs, racing through the halls, trying to get away from her daughter, but each time she looked back, Chelsea was right there. Then she felt something strike her, which caused her to fall forward and land face first on the hardwood floor. Nancy looked back and saw the severed stump of her husband's hand lying next to her as Chelsea threw the body part at her from across the hall. You two have always been inseparable, Chelsea said. Nancy struggled back to her feet, but could not get very far before she was grabbed by Chelsea and tossed 15 feet through the air, crashing through a stack of wine bottles that had been among Ted's pride and joy. Nancy could not get back to her feet, falling several times as liquor covered her body, and countless shards of broken glass had pierced her skin. She crawled and managed to reach the garage. Her right leg was broken. Nancy looked up at the gun locker that was set against the opposite wall. She crawled to it, leaving a long streak of blood and wine, which mixed until it was indistinguishable. Chelsea was behind her, now slowing her pace as she watched her mother struggle to reach the gun cabinet, which would have been futile even if she had the strength to stand, as the cabinet was locked. Reaching down, Chelsea grabbed a fistful of her mother's hair and lifted her off the floor, where she dangled like a fish caught on the line. Please, Nancy struggled to say. Am I pretty now, Mother? Chelsea asked. Before her mother could utter another word, Chelsea bashed her skull down on the hood of the car. The first impact did not kill her, as the side of her face split open. But on the third, she was dead, as bits and pieces of her head came loose under Chelsea's grip as she continued to thrash her mother's head into the car. Finally, when hardly anything was left of her mother, Chelsea stood back. She felt powerful and felt connected to everything. She felt her mind reach out to others that she connected with and called them to wake up with her. None of you deserve this world, Chelsea said in a low, guttural voice.